From 1969 through 1983, there was a slew of killings in Chicago's lucrative chop shop industry. Henry Carlson was killed on August 6, 1969, when a bomb exploded in his car. Carlson had been the original partner of Steve Ostrowsky in South Chicago Auto Parts, 7370 South Chicago Avenue, a reputed clearinghouse of stolen cars and car parts. In June of 1971, Bobby Pronger, a car thief and chop shop owner in the Blue Island and Southwest Chicago area, was planning to open a salvage yard with another chop shop expert named Richard Ferraro. Pronger was reported missing that June and was never located. In August of 1972, Guido Fidanzi, a.k.a. Guido the Weed, was murdered by two men who walked into his Chicago Heights office, the back room of a gas station, on August 8, and shot him dead. Fidanzi was a partner in various operations with chop shop scammer Billy Dauber. Michael Reagan was a used car dealer and suspected chop shop operator in South Bend, Indiana. He was found shot to death in a field in northern Indiana in September of 1972. He is believed to have been eliminated by Billy Dauber after Dauber made a move on Reagan's businesses. On September 12, 1972, Roger Croce, a Michigan City used car dealer and associate of the recently murdered Michael Reagan, was found dead in a field 5 miles south of Michigan City. Billy Dauber was more than probably the murderer. Harry Halzer and his wife were found murdered on June 5, 1975, in their Fenville, Michigan home. Halzer was the second business partner of Steve Ostrowsky to end up dead in less than 2 years. Halzer broke it off with Ostrowsky, moved to Michigan after he was shot and wounded by what he said was a robbery attempt. Police believed then that it was Ostrowsky who shot him and later killed as well. In November of 1975, Donnell Crawford, who had been around the chop shop racket for years, was found in a kneeling position with two 9mm pistol shots to the back of his head. Crawford had been mixed up in a retag operation with criminals Earl Abercrombie and James Small. Also in that year, 1975, Abercrombie's partner James Small was found crushed on a sidewalk in front of an apartment building in December. He had apparently jumped from a third-floor window. Small's death was not officially listed as a homicide. On October 5 of 1976, Steve Ostrowsky, the mastermind, hitman and caretaker for a vast interstate stolen car parts ring that encompassed the Calumet region, was found dead. Somebody shot him 5 or 6 times with a .30 caliber carbine outside his office. The killer was a passenger in a van that pulled up alongside his Cadillac at 10 a.m. as he pulled into work. The suspected killer was chop shop operator Eldemiro De Jesus, a.k.a. Coffee, of East Chicago. De Jesus also murdered Bob Karowski, a.k.a. Chick, a known car thief and chop shop operator. De Jesus murdered him on May 24, 1980, with a .30 caliber carbine on a bridle path near his home in Schneider, Indiana. De Jesus would be killed in May of 1980, as well, gunned down with a .30 caliber carbine and 2 shotgun blasts behind an East Chicago apartment building. In January of 1977, chop shop operator Norman Lang was found shot and killed in Calumet City. Once again, Billy Dauber was believed to have been the killer. Patrick Meruzars was killed on March 4, 1977 at 4 a.m. in his home at 543 North Ogden Avenue in Chicago. The killer, wearing a rubber gorilla mask, entered through a side door and shot Meruzars 5 times in the face, chest, and knee with an automatic pistol as he played poker with 2 other men. Meruzars was 21 years old. Meruzars worked the chop shop rackets. On June 13, 1977, Richard Ferraro disappeared and was never seen again. Ferraro was considered a bodyguard and top enforcer for Jimmy the Bomber Couture, czar of the South Side and Calumet region car theft and chop shop rackets. A few days later, Joey Theo was blasted twice with a shotgun and tossed in the back seat of a car parked across the street from a closed betting service in the 1700 block of Cleveland Street in Chicago. Theo was a stick-up artist and burglar who was probably involved in the burglary of Ricardo, although investigators suspect that his murder was over the war for control of the mob's stolen car parts business. Chop shop operator Earl Abercrombie's decomposing body was found on July 12, 1977, in the trunk of his car at O'Hare Airport. He had been shot twice in the head. His specialty was selling stolen cars to unsuspecting buyers. He was also a drug dealer. The reasons to kill him included a chop shop war or disputes over drugs or burglary loot. On July 25, 1977, someone fired 5 shotgun blasts into Sam Annerino as he left an Oak Lawn furniture store at 4:20 p.m. Annerino was Jimmy the Bomber's muscle after the disappearance of Richard Ferraro. In August of 1977, Jimmy Pelagi, Albert Tocco, ordered Pelagi killed because he was the last of Couture's loyalists. What was left of Pelagi was found wrapped in furniture moving pads in the rear of his van parked near 3221 North Keating Avenue, Chicago. He had been shot 3 times with a .32 caliber pistol. At age 72, James Couture was the longtime outfit boss of South Chicago and Northwest Indiana operations. Then he was found face down near his red Cadillac on the northeast corner of Hubbard and Ogden, a remote industrial area in Chicago, on July 28, 1978. He had been shot in the head and once in the back. Albert Tocco and Billy Dauber were suspected of setting up the ambush that killed Couture as part of their plan to take complete control of the car theft and chop shop rackets. Charles Monday, a.k.a. Charles Munzik, was found stuffed in the trunk of a car parked in the 6200 block of West Schubert Avenue in Chicago. Monday was the owner of Monday Auto Sales and associated with various car theft ring figures. Nick D'Andrea, once a close associate of Albert Tocco, was found on September 13, 1981, in the trunk of his Mercedes-Benz, which had been set on fire east of the city of Crete. D'Andrea worked for Tocco in the drug and gambling rackets and was closely associated with the chop shop rackets in northwest Indiana. Some police had identified him as a major mob boss in the Calumet region. He was suspected of having helped arrange the bungled murder of Chicago Heights crime kingpin Alfred Pilotto. On October 8, 1981, Sam Gazzino, of Chicago Heights, was shot in the head and his throat was slit and was then dumped in a ditch in Beecher, Illinois. He still had a .38 caliber revolver strapped to his leg. A close associate of Albert Tocco and Al Pilotto and owner of the Vagabond Lounge in Chicago Heights, he is believed to have been killed because his mob associates implicated him as the setup man for the golf course assassination attempt on Pilotto. Nick D'Andrea, who was killed the month before, was tortured until he gave up the names involved in the attempt on Pilotto. One name he gave was Gazzino's. Harold Rosenblum, November 1982. 5 men, 4 wearing Halloween masks, entered Rosenblum's Hammond Auto Recyclers, 105 Industrial Road, on November 1st. They told employees and customers to lie on the floor. Telephones were torn out of the wall. They stormed into Rosenblum's office and beat him. 4 hours later he died. Rosenblum, 31, had balked at paving the $500 a month chop shop street tax assessed by the mob, authorities said. Many investigators believe Rosenblum was the target of a warning, but that the beating got out of hand. Robert Subatic, a.k.a. Pitsy, disappeared on December 26, 1982, and was found on January 11, 1983, stuffed in the trunk of his 1981 Lincoln Mark VI, which had been parked at O'Hare Airport for 2 weeks. He had been shot in the head. Subatic was suspected of involvement in chop shops and cocaine dealing. Michael Korak, a.k.a. Monk, was shot to death in March of 1983 by a former car thief he employed, Joseph Rodish, who escaped from prison for the sole purpose of murdering him over a chop shop-related incident. His body was found in his office at M&J Auto Wrecking, 1463 East 130th Street, which had been owned by Billy Dauber.